MMC TV USA. Now on POTV, Channel 100.
Hello there once again and welcome to MMC World Roundup, where we connect you with the latest news from Sri Lanka and around the world. Before we dive into the details, let's take a quick look at what's making headlines today. ₹1 billion will be allocated for research on the relationship between Buddha's teachings and artificial intelligence. GCE advanced level classes for the students who sat for the GCE ordinary level examination this year will commence on June 4, 2024. The number of patients with high blood pressure reported in Sri Lanka has increased. Singapore's long-serving Prime Minister Lee Hsien Loong is stepping down. Well, taking a look at your news in detail, President Ranil Wickremesinghe says that ₹1 billion will be allocated next year for research on the relationship between Buddha's teachings and artificial intelligence. The president said that while the research on Buddha's teachings and AI was due to begin this year, it has been postponed for next year due to the absence of legislation for the regulation of AI. He said that the subsequent steps will be taken once the new laws are adopted. The Ministry of Education says that GCE advanced level classes for the students who sat for the GCE ordinary level examination this year will commence on June 4, 2024. The circular to this effect has already been issued by the Education Ministry to education authorities of all provinces. A media release issued by the ministry further states that school principals who have not yet received the circular can inquire about it from the respective provincial and zonal education officers, while students can obtain more information from the principals of their respective schools. The resumption of the passenger ferry service between Nagapattinam in India and the Kankasanture region near Jaffna in the northern province of Sri Lanka has been delayed again for an indefinite period. The passenger ferry service between Nagapattinam in Tamil Nadu and Kankasanture, suburb of Jaffna district, which was to resume on May 13th, was delayed due to a technical shortcoming. The service, launched in October last year after nearly 40 years, was halted a few days later owing to rough weather. Since then, the resumption of the service, which is a vital component of India-Sri Lanka Maritime Cooperation, has been delayed 3 times. India has also extended a grant assistance of $63.65 million, the entire project cost, to Sri Lanka to rehabilitate the Kankasanture port in the northern province. Situated in the northern region of Sri Lanka, the Kankasanture port, or the KKS port, with an area of approximately 16 acres, is located at a distance of 56 nautical miles from Karaikal port in Pondicherry. The direct passenger ship service connecting Nagapattinam in Tamil Nadu to Kankasanture port near Jaffna covers a distance of 60 nautical miles in approximately 3.5 hours. The ferry service will be operated by a private operator, Inshri Ferry Services, selected by the Shipping Corporation of India in consultation with the government of Sri Lanka. Consultant community physician Dr. Shireen Balasingham of the Health Ministry's Directorate of Non-Communicable Disease says that the number of patients with high blood pressure reported in Sri Lanka has increased. She revealed that following a survey carried out covering all districts in the island on the adult population between the ages 18 to 69 years, it was reported that 35% of them are suffering from hypertension. She further stated that several programs are held globally each year on May 17th to raise awareness on high blood pressure and on the third week of May regarding salt intake. Dr. Balasingham stated that a survey is also conducted in Sri Lanka once every 5 years and that according to the statistics of the last survey conducted in 2021, 35% of the individuals who took part in the survey had high blood pressure. She added that the recommended sodium intake by an adult is 5 grams per day. However, the survey has revealed that the daily intake of sodium by an adult is around 14.2 grams per day, which is 3 times more than the recommended amount. Expressing her opinion regarding the prevention of high blood pressure, she stated that to maintain good health, it is important to reduce the amount of salt used in food as well as to eat healthy. It is also important to increase physical activities to mitigate mental stress. Dr. Balasingham also emphasized the importance of avoiding the use of tobacco and alcohol as well as measuring your blood pressure frequently. Sri Lanka is now enduring a legislative transformation by introducing a series of new laws and amending prevailing ones taken into account on past experiences for future actions and performances, Finance Ministry sources acknowledged. Over the past 16 months, the Parliament has enacted 42 new laws to facilitate the country's economic transformation. An additional 62 laws will have to be passed through Parliament. These proposed laws are being devised covering areas such as public finance, procurement, public-private partnerships, state enterprises, and offshore economic activities. This preemptive action will be paving the way for enhanced efficiency and effectiveness in governance and economic management systems. In this context, the government will take a major stride towards enacting the Economic Transformation Bill in Parliament soon after gazetting it next week, most possibly with a view to transform and advance Sri Lanka to a modern, robust economy. This bill was scheduled to be presented in Parliament in February this year in accordance with IMF directives, but was delayed for over 2 months due to final legal draft adjustments incorporating revisions forwarded by the Attorney General. The new legislation will ensure that all government policies focus on the transformation to a highly competitive export-oriented economy, he pointed out. Retired Special Grade Officer of the Sri Lanka Administrative Service W.A. Chulananda Pereira has been appointed as the first ever Sports Ombudsman of Sri Lanka. In his new role, Mr. Pereira is tasked with conducting independent and impartial inquiries into complaints from individuals aggrieved by any decision or action of any registered national sports association or federation. Issuing a statement, the Sports Ministry stated that the aggrieved parties must submit a written request to the Sports Ombudsman within 14 days of any such decision or action. Following a thorough and unbiased examination, the Sports Ombudsman is required to deliver his recommendations to the Minister of Sports via the Director General of Sports within 14 days of receiving the request. Prior to lodging an appeal with the Appellate Advisory Committee concerning a decision or action of a registered national sports association or federation, it is mandatory to refer the dispute to the Sports Ombudsman. The time frame for presenting such an appeal to the Appellate Advisory Committee will not commence until the Ombudsman has made their recommendations. Each registered national sports association or federation must annually inform its members and players of the availability of the Ombudsman services, including their contact information. A total of 264 new leprosy patients have been identified from across the island during the period from the beginning of this year, according to the anti-leprosy campaign. The director of the campaign, Dr. Nirupa Pallewatha, stated that of the new patients identified, 24 are children below the age of 15 years. She further stated that in 2023, a total of 1,580 leprosy patients were reported and that the majority of them are newly identified patients. Meanwhile, of those 1,580 patients, 180 are below the age of 15, which is 12% of the patients. Measures have been taken to dispatch a specialized delegation to Russia to investigate the welfare of Sri Lankans amidst the ongoing Russian-Ukraine war. The delegation will include the Defense Ministry Secretary, a former ambassador to Russia, and officials from the Foreign Affairs Ministry with plans for prompt departure to Russia. The Foreign Affairs Ministry and the Defense Ministry are collaborating on a census of Sri Lankans caught amidst the Russian-Ukrainian war. It has been revealed that certain Sri Lankans entered Russia on tourist visas. Among them were a significant number of retired military personnel who served in the tri-forces in Sri Lanka. The primary challenge lies in determining the exact number of individuals in Russia. As per unofficial sources, around 600 to 800 Sri Lankans are in Russia. Notably, the government has been proactive in addressing the situation concerning retired military personnel in Russia. Gratitude is extended to media institutes for their assistance in identifying those involved in the war in Russia. However, a pressing issue remains, which is the lack of specific information regarding the exact locations where these individuals are residing in Russia. The embassy in Vietnam had a meeting with the topmost management of the iconic automobile manufacturer VinFast at their corporate head office in Hanoi to discuss and explore commercial and investment opportunities, thus benefiting both Sri Lanka and VinFast. VinFast is the auto manufacturer under the parent company of Vingroup, one of the largest listed corporates in Southeast Asia. The ambassador Dr. Sarju Mendes, along with the Minister Commercial Kishani Wickramasinghe, met with the Vingroup Chief of International and Government Affairs, cum VinFast Deputy CEO Biu Kim Thuy, along with the senior management of VinFast. VinFast is one of the very few auto manufacturers specialized in manufacturing electric vehicles as well as other conventional vehicles. Being one of the largest auto manufacturers not only in the region but in the world, when VinFast was listed on the US stock exchange Nasdaq in August of 2023. The market capitalization of VinFast in August 2023 was higher than the combined market cap of both General Motors and Ford of the US, as it exceeded $110 billion or over 25% of the total GDP of Vietnam. During the recent past, VinFast also invested $4 billion in the state of North Carolina in the US on a state-of-the-art manufacturing facility and $500 million in Chennai, India, investment propositions to commit $1.2 billion in Indonesia, respectively. VinFast produces around 300,000 vehicles per year and has a potential to produce 1 million vehicles. Singapore's long-serving Prime Minister Lee Hsien Loong is stepping down, marking the end of a political era for the island nation. After 20 years in power, Mr. Lee will formally hand over the reins to Deputy Prime Minister and Finance Minister Lawrence Wong on Wednesday night. Since becoming an independent nation in 1965, Singapore has only had 3 Prime Ministers, all from the ruling People's Action Party. The first was Mr. Lee's father, Lee Kuan Yew, who is widely considered as the founder of modern Singapore and led the country for 25 years. Analysts say the transition signals an evolution in Singapore's political leadership as it moves out of the shadow of the Lee family, even though Mr. Lee will remain in cabinet as a senior minister. Over the weekend, in his final interview as Prime Minister with local media, he thanked Singaporeans for their support. He added that he had tried to do things my way in a different fashion from his father and other predecessor, Goh Chok Tong. Mr. Lee joined politics in 1984 as a backbencher while his father was still in power. He rose up the ranks under Singapore's second Prime Minister Mr. Goh before taking the helm in 2004. In international geopolitics, Mr. Lee carefully balanced Singapore's relationships with the US and China amid the superpowers' increasingly fraught tug-of-war for loyalty in the region. His government also finally repealed a controversial anti-gay sex law following years of lobbying from LGBTQ groups, though freedom of speech remains tightly restricted. Chinese electric vehicle maker NIO has unveiled the first car from its new lower-price brand Onvo in a direct challenge to Tesla's best-selling car. With prices starting at 219,900 yuan, the L60 SUV is more than 10% cheaper than the world's most popular EV, Tesla's Model Y, which has a price tag of 249,900 yuan. It comes in the same week that US President Joe Biden announced he would quadruple the import tax on electric cars from China. Like other EV makers, Tesla has been struggling with falling sales in the face of intense competition from Chinese brands. The vehicle was unveiled in Shanghai by NIO's chief executive William Li, who said the company aimed to rival Tesla's Model Y and the Toyota RAV4. The company has started taking orders for the L60 and aims to begin deliveries by September. Well, that wraps up our news coverage for today, but you can also reach us on POTV, Samsung TV, LG TV, Apple TV, YouTube and Facebook Live, reaching the entire United States and across the globe. Thank you for joining in with us today. Until next time, we wish you a fabulous week ahead.
To catch the full program and more, subscribe to MMC TV USA on YouTube. Follow us on Facebook, Instagram and TikTok